Denon DJ is well known for its feature-rich standalone gear, which is also very affordable. However, the odds are that if you are a Denon DJ user, you find different gear in the club, most likely CDJs or on a festival stage. And at that point, you need to go to Rekordbox and create a Rekordbox exported USB in order to work with CDJs. This tutorial is about the Denon Extractor Tool, which allows you to convert playlists, history lists, prepare lists, cues, loops and all that other good stuff from an Engine DJ collection to Rekordbox, and if you use the DJ Conversion Utility, even to other DJ software. It is not the most simplest conversion, but the basics are very simple. This tutorial is divided in 4 parts. First, I'm going over something that you need to know about how Engine DJ works. Then I'm going to convert an Engine DJ collection with the audio files stored on the internal drive. Then I go to convert an Engine DJ USB. And finally, we are going full out and going from a Dropbox collection on Engine OS to a Cloud Direct Play on the CDJ 3000X. Each stage is an increasing difficulty level. So it's important that before you go to a certain part, you understand everything that went in front of it, because otherwise you will get lost easily. One of the confusing things about Engine DJ is that performance drives and the collection are the same thing, which may look like there are duplicates in your collection. As you see right here, it looks like there is a duplicate of the Ray track in my Engine OS collection or in the combined playlist. And that is why I always recommend to enable the drive column and to make the drive column the first column of anything. That way you can see where the tracks are stored. Because if I, for instance, insert a USB and I connect my Prime 4 to it with an internal drive, then things get even more complicated, because now you see 4 RAID tracks, but if you look at the drive portion, you see that they are stored in a different location. As each location has its own Engine DJ collection, it also can have its own playlists. The moment I eject those external USBs, you see that the connected playlists are also disappearing from my Engine DJ collection. I couldn't make it any simpler, folks. This is how Denon DJ decided that Engine DJ has to work. For the first demonstration, I am going to convert tracks that are stored on the internal drive, which is the situation that most of you DJs will find themselves in if Engine DJ is your primary DJ software and you don't use anything else. This is going to be my demonstration Engine DJ collection. As you can see, all these 23 tracks are stored on my Macintosh HD, and that is why it's so important to have that drive column enabled at the front of each row. There are a few playlists there with some tracks in it, and the Our Time track will be the focus track. It has a cue and it has a loop at the end. Within the Denon Extractor Tool, we select that we want to convert from the startup/internal drive. Then there are some parameters that you need to have an eye on. First of all, convert the BPM and grid. Engine DJ's BPM and grid are not the best in the world, and for that reason the auto-analysis of whatever DJ software you want to convert to most likely has a better BPM and grid, and for that reason I made it optional to convert the BPM and grid. It is disabled by default. The same with the convert date added. If tracks are already in the other DJ software, then you don't want the date added to be overwritten by the Engine DJ date, and for that reason it is optional to enable it or disable it. Fix the MP3 encoder shifts should always be enabled. In this pull down menu you tell the Denon Extractor Tool how to convert cues and loops to hot cues and memory cues, and there are various ways to do that. In other words, if you are converting from an internal drive, then simply everything is already set default the way you may want to have it, and you can click Start Conversion to start the actual conversion. After a few seconds you will be presented with all the playlists that are found inside the internal collection database. Mind you, if you have external collection databases, they will not be listed here. So if you are missing playlists, then that most likely is because the tracks are stored not on the internal drive but on another volume. You can select everything together by pressing Command A and selecting all the playlists, but if this is the first time that you use the Denon Extractor Tool, I recommend you to just select one test playlist with a few test tracks in it, so you get the hang of how this works. You can always convert more tracks after the first conversion, and things that have been converted will stay in the target DJ software. The Denon Extractor Tool does not erase playlists or tracks if they are not part of the conversion. Click OK to start the actual conversion. If Rekordbox 7 or Rekordbox 6 are installed on your system, then it will automatically start XML to Rekordbox 6. That's just an app to convert all the Rekordbox XML data to Rekordbox. XML to Rekordbox 6 automatically opens Rekordbox, and if you want to look at the results, go to the playlist segment, click the triangle in front of playlist so they collapse, and there you find the Engine DJ collection startup internal drive, within it the playlists, and within it the My Bangers, and there is the playlist that was actually selected for conversion. Please note that these tracks have not been analyzed. You still need to analyze them if you want to export them to a CDJ USB. That is mandatory. Select them, click Analyze Tracks, and make sure that the options are set correctly. If you disable the BPM grid conversion, then make sure that it's enabled in the Rekordbox analysis. Finally, if we have a look at our focus track named Our Time, then you will see that the cues are there and converted, and that the loop at the end of the track is also converted both as a hot cue as well as a memory cue. That was a setting that is being used. In the next segment I'm going to convert an Engine OS performance drive, which means that things get slightly more complicated, because now you've got the option to keep the file paths pointing to that Engine OS performance drive, or to make the Denon Extractor Tool search for the original audio files and use that as the file path. In one case you always need the USB to be present in order to use those tracks in other DJ software. In the other option, that particular USB is no longer required because the original audio files will be used. I will go over all of this right now. Things become slightly more complicated due to how Engine DJ works if you have an external drive connected. In my case, the Engine USB is connected to desktop, and if you look at the collection Engine DJ now, you see that there are tracks that are stored on the Macintosh HD, and there are tracks that are stored on the Engine USB. And of course there are different playlists for those tracks. If this look is very confusing, I recommend you to go to the Drives segment and then only view it from the collection view on the USB that you want to convert. So in my case, the Engine USB. Now the moment we select the Engine USB, or any external drive for that matter with an Engine collection, as the source collection, the conversion collection, then these options become available. You don't need to use any of these options. You can just go ahead and say start conversion, but let me show you why the options are important. I select only the external 2 playlist for conversion, and after x26 is finished, you will find the tracks exactly as you expect them to be. But if you look at the location of the audio files, you see that it still points to the volume's Engine USB, which works fine if that Engine USB is available. However, if I eject the Engine USB and I go back to my collection, and I try to load the track, it will give a load error, and that is only expected because the original audio file cannot be found. You may think, yo, MixMasterG, who cares? But if, for instance, your Engine drive is inside your Prime 4 collection and you want to play on CDJs using a Rekordbox collection, then you need that Prime 4 with you because it contains the audio files, and that is not an ideal situation. The same if you use various USBs in your Engine OS gear. You don't want to swap out all the USBs in order to use Rekordbox. And for that reason, the Denon Extractor Tool has something smart inside. When you enable the try to find the original audio file in the following collections, the Denon Extractor Tool will try to find that original audio file on any place but the USB that you have selected for conversion. And it will search inside the local Engine DJ collection, it can search inside the Rekordbox collection, it can search in the Apple Music, that was formerly known as iTunes collection, and it can even search inside an ICT or RCT audio fingerprinting database if you use one of those apps. If it still cannot find that audio file, it will create its own media folder, and you can specify here where it creates that media folder, and that doesn't need to be on the internal drive. It can be on a file server, it can be on another USB, whichever you like, and it will remember where that is created. So the next time you use DeXT, it will remember I need to look there in that specific location for the audio files. DeXT will copy the audio files that it cannot find in the specified locations to that specific folder from the USB. So you don't need the USB anymore after the conversion is finished. Let me show you how that works. I did add some tracks that are part of the conversion to music, and those audio files are stored on the desktop folder in the folder named audio, but they could be anywhere. Let's start the conversion, and this time let's take everything. And if you have a look at the Denon Extractor Tool log, then it will tell you what it did with the audio file. So for instance, this track, the RAID track, the original audio file loaded through the iTunes or music collection, and the same with this one. And for instance, this track and all the other tracks, audio file copied to the local DeXT media folder because it was not found. That local DeXT media folder is located here in music, right here. And you can see by the date and the time, these are the audio files from that particular conversion we just run that were not found. The next time I run that conversion, it will find them in this location. Now it's totally safe to eject this USB, and if we ask Rekordbox to show all the missing files, you see that all the files are found, and if you want to know where they are stored, then enable that location column and you will see that they are all stored in the desktop folder or at the music ATGR DeXT media folder. So those tracks all will work, will load, and will have their cues and loops if they were set in the Engine DJ collection. And finally, let's have a look at the conversion of a Dropbox collection from Engine OS straight to a CDJ 3000X Cloud Direct Play. There is some trickery involved in this conversion, specifically because Engine OS only reads from Dropbox and does not write back to Dropbox. And for that reason, you need a cache USB available in the OS gear. That cache USB will contain all the cues and loops you set on the gear, so that information needs to be synced back to Dropbox on the computer prior of conversion. I'll show you all of it. Let's go. Right now it is impossible to connect to Dropbox because there is no cache drive, no USB drive available in the player. So let me put a USB inside the player, and then you see that Dropbox is now connecting and it is ready to be used as a source. There are two playlists in my Dropbox collection, playlist 1 and playlist 2, as you can see, all containing tracks. Let's take the Tiesto Lay Low track as a focus track. It does not have any cues and loops. It has been analyzed by Engine DJ, the desktop app. Let's put a cue right here, right there, and finally let's give it a loop. So we have two cues and a loop. This information is stored on the USB and not on Dropbox, which means we need that USB if we were to convert this information back to Rekordbox or even to Engine DJ. Let's eject the USB and go to the computer. The empty USB you see right here is the USB that was used in the Engine OS gear. And if I fire up Engine DJ, find that Tiesto track, you see it doesn't have any cues and loops because the information is still on that USB and not on the Dropbox collection. There is no way that Denon DJ syncs this back to the original collection, which I think is a huge problem. However, I created a little app, and if you open your Dropbox collection and you have used the Denon Extractor Tool before, there is an app introduced called Sync Dropbox. If you run that app, then it will sync the data back to Dropbox. And if I go back to Engine DJ right now and we load the lay low track, we can see the cues and the loop that were set on the device. In the Denon Extractor Tool, I can select Dropbox as my conversion source, and it will automatically warn me, are you sure that you have synced everything? And as you have seen, we just did that, so I'm good. Continue. Let's take both playlists, and if we go to the playlists and we take the Engine DJ collection on Dropbox, then you can find playlist 1 and playlist 2. By the Dropbox icon you can see that the tracks are loaded from Dropbox, and if you load the lay low track you can see it right here, and that has everything converted. If you happen to have a creative subscription and you enable the Cloud Sync and you enable the Rekordbox Cloud Play Direct, on my CDJ 3000X I can now log into Cloud Direct Play, and when we select the cloud portion of the Cloud Direct Play and we go to the playlists, you will see that the Engine OS converted playlists are both there, and if I load the lay low track, then you will see that it has the cues and loops as set on the Engine OS gear, which means that you can now prepare for any Cloud Direct Play gear on any Denon DJ OS gear through Dropbox. I think that is pretty neat. This is all I can tell you about conversion from an Engine DJ and Engine OS collection to Rekordbox and beyond. If you enjoy this kind of information, then I need your support. Because I've chosen to have monetization off on my YouTube channel, which means there are no commercials because I hate commercials, but it also makes my videos a little bit harder to discover because the YouTube algorithm prefers videos where the monetization is on, because YouTube makes money out of that. For that reason, I kindly ask you to like, share, subscribe and all that other good stuff, but most importantly tell your DD friends about the availability of this information online, totally free, and the apps of course that I create. Each Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central European Time, I host an Ask Me Anything live stream where you can ask me all kind of DJ tech related questions. There is a live chat that will be open where you can ask your questions, and of course the archive is available on YouTube after the broadcast. The live stream is on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, and the next day I always make a time index below the video so you can easily see which topics were discussed and how to jump through them. For now, thank you for watching. I hope to see you in a live stream. MixMasterG signing off.